Welcome to Contractor Cuts, where we cover the good, the bad, and the ugly of growing a successful contracting company.
Welcome to Contractor Cuts. My name is Clark Turner.
I'm Jared Flo.
Thanks for joining us again. So this is one of two parts that we're starting today. It is the most boring sounding of podcasts. It is how to write estimates, how to estimates start from start to finish, from when someone first contacts you all the way through the written estimate that you're submitting to your client. What are the best ways to do it for efficiency, for speed, but as well as high detail and good communication with your client.
Clarity of exactly what's being done and all that stuff.
So we're broken into a two-part series because today we're going to talk about from when they call or email or the first point of contact through before we go on site. Is what we're covering today. Everything that we do something called a desk estimate. We've mentioned probably 100 times in past podcasts that we're going to break down how that works, and then we're going to take you through, okay, the call, the desk estimate, and what's setting us up for on-site. And then next week we're going to cover on-site. This is what you do. This is how we show up. This is how we
best
execute,
practices in that.
how we revise the estimate, and how we give the estimate back to the client. So we've broken this down into two different steps because these are two of the steps on our 10 steps process. Our project management process.
And they're big pieces. They're big pieces of it.
They're very important. This is because the importance of these are twofold. One, you're setting your client's understanding of how the experience with you is going to go, right? They're like, wow, this guy's good at communication, high detail. He knows what he's talking about. I want to experience all those things in a renovation. I want to pick this guy. The second reason this is so important is this is where you make or lose money. I forgot to put dumpsters on here. I forgot to put a cleaning on here. I forgot to put haul off, whatever it is. I didn't really realize they wanted that extent of paint. They didn't define what type of paint. So now we're going to argue that they want the emerald instead of the Promar 200, right? All of that stuff that you don't define because you're trying to go quickly and you just kind of throw an estimate together, it all is going to cost you in reputation and money along the way.
Well, it's also a space where you can you can waste a lot of time by not setting it up correctly and lose the approval because you didn't spend the time, communicate well, whatever it is. You spend a lot of time on it and you don't get the approval because you weren't detailed on it and spent the time on it.
One of the arts that we work hard with our contractors on and all of our project managers is how much time, how much detail do I put into this, right? Because I can spend 10 hours on a $100,000 renovation. I can spend 1 hour on $100,000. How much time and effort do I put in, right? So let's get into it, talking through it.
How does a standard contractor, what is that like a normal way that most every contractor does this? What's that look like?
So the standard way that we don't teach, but the way that we're going to go is someone calls and says, hey, I need a kitchen renovation. You did someone in my neighborhood. Can you give me a quote? And the contractor says, sure, I'd love to give you a quote. I'm looking at my calendar. How does next Wednesday sound? And say, that sounds great. I'll be out there at 9 a.m. and we'll take a look at your kitchen and figure things out.
And that might be, on that phone call or interaction, they get I'm looking to do a basement. I'm looking to do a kitchen. I'm looking, whatever, but that's about the max. Gives you some idea of what it's going to be, but we're going to get on site and get
I know I got a budget hour and a half because we're going to walk through their kitchen and look at stuff versus I need a budget 3 hours because it's a full scale renovation including a new basement, right? So most contractors understand how much time I'm going to spend out there, how much do I need to budget. I will be there about 9. We'll spend hour and a half out there at the most, and then I'll get you an estimate for it and we'll go from there. They hang up the phone, they put it on their calendar hopefully. They don't do anything till next Wednesday. They leave their house at 8. They get there at 9. They spend an hour and a half on the job site talking through stuff, and they're talking about what type of countertops and everything else. And then they drive home for another 30, 40 minutes, and then they sit down and spend 3 hours writing up that quote.
Well, and at that spot, when you go on site, you spend the time with the client, the hour and a half or whatever. From the moment you leave, the time clock starts. That client is waiting to get that information from you. And you've got to go in and take all of this information and dial it in and get it accurate and make sure your numbers are good and cover everything and are my measurements right and all of that stuff. And it could take an hour, a couple hours that afternoon, or I don't have it. I got 3 other jobs that I'm running. It's a day, 2 days, 3 days, a week, and you finally get the estimate back to them. And that client may have 1 or 2 or 3 other people that are popping in there and doing the same thing because they want some compare and contrast. I don't want the cheapest. I don't want the most expensive. I want, and so you're on the clock of a lot of times the first one to get back to them is one that is going to have a more opportunity to land the job, but sometimes you can't do that because you've got other stuff and it takes you 2 or 3 days.
Next time that you're on an estimate, if what we just described is how you do estimates, next time you're on the estimate, try and be aware of how much time you're actually talking with the client and how much time you're taking notes. Because I mean, when I used to do it this way, I'd burn through 3 pages of a yellow pad. It was this and this, and I'm writing this down, and let me get this measurement in, and I'm going to write this. And I spent 80% of the time with my head and hand in my yellow pad, taking notes, taking measurements, trying to make sure everything is written. And my notes are, I'm writing about the demo. Then I'm writing about the type of cabinets because she mentioned that. Now I'm writing about the countertops. Now I'm going back to talk about electrical. And it's all jumbled by the way that the client was verbal vomiting all of the ideas that they looked at on Pinterest and Instagram over the last 3 months.
Yeah.
And so you don't have a rhyme or reason. You don't have organization, and you really are now putting a puzzle together when you get back to the office of, oh wait, I forgot that. And where's this? We talked about this. They want how many?
Well, and
lights?
hopefully you have the space to try and write that estimate up that day while the information's fresh.
Yep.
But if it's a day or two, and then you're going back and you're like, my chicken scratch, I can't read this. I don't, And
I think 1 time out of 5, I would be able to write it the same day at the most.
Yeah.
Right. It's either the next day. If is usually a hopefully, but it's usually it's Wednesday. Today I got to do this. Tomorrow morning a fire happened. I got to go. Hey, it's going into Friday. I'm supposed to cut out early on vacation, so it'll probably be Monday or Tuesday before I get back to them. They're not going to be happy.
Well, and I've also been in that space where I'm like, okay, I told him it was going to be about 3 days. It's day 3. I don't have time to do it, so I'm going to rush through it and just crap it down and get it. I'm going to give them something, right? And you're not delivering any kind of quality. You're not communicating all the details, and all of that stuff, like you said, spells out to the client what they're about to experience if they say yes. Right.
So that's one. That's
the standard normal way that everybody does it.
People do it. It's inefficient. It's disorganized. And it wastes your time as a contractor, and you're making yourself not look as good as you could.
And it doesn't have to always be that where it's a waste and it takes a lot. You can do it and do it well. Yeah. But it takes a lot of time. And the time of driving out there, the time spending on site, the time driving back, taking copious notes and making sure you're getting all the details, because there are guys that are better at that than you and I are, of making sure they've got all the details and all that. It's an incredible amount of time spent to maybe hope the guy says yes or no.
Well, and as a one-man show, and we've heard this, I think, from most contractors that we've walked through setting up their process. As a one-man show, you can be kind of inefficient because especially right now in the world, because I'm going to land almost every job I bid at this point. It feels like, because everyone's looking, and it's a labor shortage. So I can be a little inefficient because I'm going to go bid a couple of jobs. I'll bid 4 jobs. I'm probably going to land 3 of them, and that's all I need for this month. So inefficiency on a small scale isn't killing you. Correct. Right? It's just taking a couple extra hours a week. It's not that big of a deal. But why we harp so hard on this, and what we're about to walk you through for the desk estimate and the pre-estimate work that we put in, is because what you're doing the inefficient way is not scalable. You cannot duplicate yourself, and you cannot grow to the next level unless you have a systematic, very efficient way to do things. Right now, our GC company, we looked this morning, our GC company has 77 open estimates, 77 jobs that we haven't started, but people wanted numbers on. And so if you think about inefficiency, you're doing 3 or 4 estimates, and you might lose an hour, 2 hours per estimate this week. That's not that big of a deal. When you're looking at a company where I'm paying employees to do work, and they're doing 77 estimates, that doesn't scale well, right? You can't burn 2-3 hours per job on 77 estimates.
That's right. I mean, you think hour and a half to an hour to the job and then back.
Yep.
So you've got an hour to 2 hour worth of drive time, an hour, maybe most likely 2. So I've got 4 hours spend just to get the details of what I need. And then if you're really good at writing estimates, maybe an hour to write up the estimate. It's a 5 hour spend for one estimate.
Yep. So we need
75 estimates at 5 hours. There's no way we could do that. There's no way.
Yep. So that being said, we are going to walk you through the most efficient way that we have found to do from first contact to estimate. And it really, it's the intake and the desk estimate is what we're going to talk about today. And then next week is going to be the site estimate and delivering that, and how we do it efficiently, and how we weed out the tire kickers and the people that we probably aren't going to want to work with, and that we wouldn't land the quote anyways.
Right.
So let's get into it. So first contact, somebody calls, somebody emails, someone gets your contact in some way. They text you, they Facebook message you, however it is. The very first thing that we do is we take that information and we put it into our software if we've got the address and all their information. If they just say, hey, I'm Bob, I'm looking for a kitchen reno, first thing we're going to do is say, hey, give me your email. I'm going to shoot you an email with some information we'd love to get from you, and we want to put it into our system. We also pass that to our front office, but if you're a one-man show, that you can easily have a go-to set text, email response, whatever it is. And so you message me, Clark, hey, I'm looking for a renovation. My name's Bob. Can you come out and give me an estimate? I'm going to say, Bob, give me your email. I'm going to shoot you an email with some information. I have a set template email that I send to Bob. It's an introduction. It's who we are. Hi, thanks for contacting us. We're excited about getting you an estimate. Hey, to get started, here's our process, right?
Yeah.
Bob usually doesn't know how construction companies work. He doesn't know how estimates work. He's just trying to figure it out. So if I have a planned, systematic way that I give estimates and I let him know that, it's comforting for the client, right? So, Bob, here's what we're going to do. I need a brief list, just a simplistic list of what you're looking to get done. As much detail as you want to add, great. The more, the better for me.
Right.
If I had a scope of what you're looking to get done, I have that property address from you. Obviously, I've got his email already, so I need your phone number and any other contact information. And also, if you have pictures of the space, that would be super helpful for me to prep. What I'm going to do is take all that information. I'm going to build you what we call a desk estimate. I will put that estimate together. I'll give you a call tomorrow or whenever that can be. As soon as I get all that information, I can put it together. I will give you a call. What we do with the desk estimate is walk you through what we think to make sure we capture everything.
Right.
And then from there, we'll set up an on-site estimate, and we'll come out and do the actual estimate. But the reason we do this is, A, we want to prep for the estimate so it's super efficient on site.
Right.
And B, we want to make sure we capture everything so our project manager on site who's doing the estimate actually knows what's going on, and we're now planning making sure we're capturing all the details as opposed to being a note taker on site.
That's right.
You say that to a client, they're like, great, done. That's your process done. I don't think we've ever had pushback, and when we do, it's a tire kicker.
And this it really is the epitome of the old saying of, you only get one opportunity for a first impression.
Yep.
And from the way that the person answers the phone, whether it's an office manager or you as a one-man show, the way that you answer the phone, the way that you interact with them helps them paint a picture of what it's going to be like to work with you. If you get a phone call and you've got, saws and hammers going in the background and you're halfway listening, yeah, whatever, Friday, yeah, that's fine. I'll be out there on Friday. Just text me your address. There's a uneasiness about that. They're like, wait a minute, like this guy's kind of unhinged and whatever. But to be able to have, again, like you said, whether you've got a templated text, like I'm going to send you a text message, will you send me back this information, or an email where there is a process of, this is how we do this so that we can deliver this for you, so that we can make sure we're capturing all the details. We're going to review that with you to make sure that we understand exactly what you want and get some clarity on that stuff. That is such a huge piece of setting up. I've said it 100 times. It is the prep of the wall before you put paint on it. It is the thing that gathering those details are what that are going to dictate the success of the job itself.
How easy and final look comes, right? If you don't sand the wall and you just try to paint it to cut the corner, it's going to take a lot more work in the long run.
Yep.
So a lot of pushback we get when we tell people to do this. One of the pushbacks are, listen, I can just go out. I'm just going to go out. I can sell a job if I'm there in person. Or I don't, I don't want to bother my client to have to email me all this stuff. And I don't have time to sit down and write a pre-estimate, a desk estimate before going out there. Just send me the stuff and I'll meet you out there.
I've got a great record of landing jobs because people just, when I'm on site, I'm good at the sales and the playing off the client, and I land jobs. Like, it's super easy for me. So I get the desk estimate, but I can land jobs better just being on site.
So my response to that is twofold. One, I know you can sell jobs on site. That's why you're successful to this point.
That's right.
But we're not doing this for you. We're doing this to set up a systematic way to duplicate you, to hire someone and bring them in, and someone who isn't you, who isn't as good as you, isn't as smart as you possibly, isn't as detailed as you, they can follow the system we're about to build, and they can deliver an excellent product, which is duplicating you.
Right.
So that's number one why we're doing this. I'm not doing this to help you necessarily today, though it will help you today, and I'll talk about that next. I'm doing this because systematically you want to replace yourself. You want to hire someone to come in and take over, and you want to move up and grow and possibly step out one day. That's number one. Number two, the reason you do this is we are going to save time later by doing this now.
Right.
Because, four out of 5 times when you go on site, you're going to land that client because you're sold them. Let's make it 5 out of 5 because you're still going to go on site. I'm not saying you're not going on site, and this is not replacing that site estimate. What we are doing, and this is kind of our go-to line about this, the desk estimate is our first date.
Yeah.
Right? That is my first date with the client. So if my first date happens the day of or the next day that they contact us, and then I say, okay, let me do a desk estimate, and we'll talk about how we do that in a second. I do the desk estimate. They say, that looks great. Let's get on site. And I say, okay, great. Next Wednesday. I'm going out there next Wednesday. I've already had a first date. That's my second date.
Yeah, you're at an advantage at that point.
And Jared, the other contractor, answered the phone on site, says, yeah, I can be out there next Wednesday. Great. Text me the address. And he shows up next Wednesday. So next Wednesday, Jared's introducing himself, thinking, what are we doing here? I'm saying, hey, it's great to see you again. Yeah, this house is beautiful. It's funny you said blah, 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 because we've got rapport from our first conversation during the desk estimate.
Right.
And I've now got a full built estimate of everything that we're doing. So now I'm standing on site with you saying, okay, Jared, let's look through this stuff. Bob, the client, let's look through this. Okay, so you said you were looking at a new kitchen. Tell me a little bit more about the cabinets. There's 3 different levels. Let me talk to you about that. Blah, 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 blah. And I'm out there for 45 minutes or less getting high detail of what they're looking for, and you as the client feel me dreaming and having a vision of how this is going to be because I'm here. I'm eye to eye with you. I'm not a note taker right now. While the next guy, Jared, the contractor who showed up on Wednesday, is saying, hi, okay, so what are you looking to get done? Demo, okay, demo. And what else? Cabinets, your new cabinets. And what else are you looking to get done? And it's literally a note taker on site. Now, he might have, okay, let's talk through different types of cabinets. Let's talk through this. He's going to take the same amount of time. He's going to take an hour and a half, 2 hours talking through all that and taking notes. We just broke it up. We did half of it early on the desk estimate and half of it on site. Yeah. So the other beautiful part of doing this is in my desk estimate, we sit down and we'll talk through how we write it out. But in it, I'm getting a ballpark number. For the kitchen renovation, I'm saying, okay, demo, we're going to be at $3,000. We're going to have new kitchen cabinets. I'm going to put it at $10,000 for those. We're going to need countertops. I need this. And I've got pictures so I can kind of see the space and how big. I say, okay, right now they've got 38 cabinet doors. So I'm going to say, I'm going to plan for 38 boxes.
But how do I do a desk estimate without being on site and know what my plumbing cost is going to be and the amount of electrical that I'm going to need? How do I know those specifics? Like, it feels weird writing an estimate for somebody and like doing it off site and not knowing that stuff.
And we trained one of the general managers, one of the guys that became the general manager of one of the contracting companies that we've done a lot of consulting for. He had never been in he had a roofing and fencing companies.
Right.
Never been in the contracting world, never bid a kitchen before, and we taught him how to do desk estimates.
Yep.
So you don't have to have this 20-year history to be able to pull from your Rolodex and your brain of numbers. What you do is you take the pictures that you got, the scope of work that you got from the client, and so you sit down and say, okay, listen, let me build this out. I know in a kitchen renovation, here are all my headers. So we've got the software, you build it in your headers. I'm going to do demo, then I'm going to do cabinets, then I'm going to do countertops, I'm going to do electrical, I'm going to do plumbing, I'm going to do cleaning, I'm going to do permits, I'm going to do pre-con line. I'm going to do all my lines that I know that is standard. And we have those written out for office managers. So she just drops those into the estimate when a client calls and asks.
Yeah.
Next, I sit down and say, okay, let me go through what they're looking to do. Demo, I'm looking at this kitchen. I know I'm going to need at least a dumpster, probably 2. I know I'm going to need 5 guys probably for a day and a half to pull all this stuff out. It looks like they've got a lot of junk in the house, and so we need to talk through that.
Right.
Right. And so I start looking through it thinking, okay, how many days am I going to spend per guy? How much should I charge per guy? How much do I have to pay per guy? Start building that out. And you type your labor in, and you type how much profit you want to make, and it spits out how much you should charge.
Yeah.
So I need 5 guys out here. My average guy, I'm paying $150, $200, let's say, a day. So let's say I have 5 guys out here for 2 days because it's a big demo project. That's $1,000 a day. It's going to cost me about.
Right.
I'm going to put $2,000, maybe round up to $2,200 for labor, and put my markup.
Yeah.
There we go. I got my price for demo.
Yeah.
And so,
the ultimate goal of a desk estimate is to try and capture as much understanding of the scope of what the client wants.
Yep.
So that when you review it, you can talk to them about, does that make sense? Is this what you're looking for?
Yep.
And get some real clarity on that. And to have a general roundabout number, you're going to be around this ballpark to do this job. Is that what you were thinking?
Yep.
Is that in your budget? And that allows you to, before you've even gone on site, to flex with them and say, dude, that's $30,000 over what I was thinking. And it allows you to say, okay, great, we can work with that. Let's change the way we do some of these finishes. Instead of doing custom cabinets, let's go with some box cabinets. They'll be beautiful, they'll be great, but they're going to be a lot less expensive. You know, and you can work to get the client into a closer dollar amount, but you're not hemmed into, at the end of that conversation, I'm going to charge them $30,000 for this kitchen.
Sure.
I'm getting a roundabout ballpark, and you explain that to the client.
Yep.
This is to make sure that we understand exactly, we're on the same page of exactly what you want and around what it's going to cost.
Yep.
And then if we're good to go, let's move to the next step.
Yep. So first off, one of the things going in the desk estimate is I always telling the client, we are for sure doing on-site. I assume that we're moving to the next steps always with the client. That's sales 101. I'm assuming I'm going to make the sale. I'm assuming we're going to come on site. What we haven't talked about is when I do this estimate and it doesn't work for you, or you don't want to send me pictures or information, just want me to come out to bid because you're just, kicking tires, then I'm not going to go out on site. So the desk estimate is to weed out those people, to prep you for the on-site, to get to date 2, and to show your professionalism and your systemized way to replace yourself.
Right.
So let's do a simple example of the desk estimate I was starting to get into. Jared, you're going to be my client. We're doing your kitchen. You sent me a list of the kitchen. I've got 4 pictures of your kitchen from different angles. I sit down for my desk estimate. I write out my simple line items. I'm not detailing out every line. I'm probably not even going to go as deep as I was just talking about with 5 people for 2 days. I'm not even getting to that level. That's more
I've got a demo cost.
I know I got demo.
I got a
dumpster.
dumpster.
Throw $5,000 in there. I'm going to have $1,200 for my dumpsters. I'm going to have let's do a cabinet line. I'm going to put $10,000 on the cabinet line. But
in my pictures, I'm counting boxes. 1 box, 2 boxes, and I know about what it costs and give a round number.
I can look at the countertops and say that's about 40 square foot of countertops. So I can put that number in because our software has your pre-built preset items.
Yeah.
So you can build all your items. So you just put your square footages in and boom, all your estimates are done.
Yeah.
So we did the cabinets. I do the countertops. I've got my tile, backsplash line item.
Flooring.
I've got my
whatever.
flooring line item. But the pictures, I can't tell if these hardwoods run into the living room. So I'm going to make a note on that. So are we just replacing the flooring in the kitchen, or does it connect to a different room? Because 400 square feet versus 4,000 square feet is a big
little different.
variant, right? And so that's a spot where I don't know the answer yet, but I'm gonna assume it's just the kitchen. I'm gonna put a number for that.
Yeah.
I'm gonna look at the electrical. I'm gonna look at plumbing. I'm gonna make notes. Okay, are we taking that wall out? What's behind it? Is this an exterior wall that I'm moving? I can't tell. I'm taking notes on anything that I can't get a good number around. So at the end of building this out, I've taken 20 minutes at the most to just kind of line item it out of everything that I know that we're going to have and get my list of questions for them.
Right.
Let's say that adds up to $35,000. I'm gonna text you, call you, email you, however our conversation has been previously, and say, hey Jared, I've got your desk estimate ready. I love to set up a Zoom. Do you have any time this afternoon or in the morning that we can do a Zoom and I can walk you through it?
Yep.
Normally the client says, yeah, just go ahead and shoot it over to me, but yeah, we can talk tomorrow. I don't want you to see your quote until I am face to face with you or on the phone with you. And that is because I want to be aware of your reaction and be able to temper your expectations or hear that you were really happy with the number. Right. If you're like, whoa, I only got 10 grand to spend and I saw them do that on HGTV. I'm gonna say, well, listen, let's talk about where 10 grand can go into a kitchen. And if at the end of this conversation we can't get you beyond that and I can't hit 10 grand, thanks for thinking of us. If we can help you out anything in the future, no problem. But I didn't waste 5 hours on site. Secondly, I'm saying, okay, Jared, do you have a time for a phone call? Great. Let's talk tomorrow morning at 9. At 8:55, I hit send estimate, and then I dial your number, and I say, hey, Jared, what's going on? Hey, pull up your emails. I've got your quote on there. I want to walk you through some of the line items. You're saying, great. You pull it up. You look at it. We start walking through. First thing you're going to say is 35. Okay. All right. And I say, is that in your budget? I mean, is that around what you're looking for? And normally it's either going to be, that's a little high, but that's in my budget, or this is absurd.
Yeah.
If it's absurd, great. Let's talk about why you think that. If it's around your budget, say, great. Well, let me walk you through my line items.
Make sure that we've got everything captured.
So I'm going to ask my questions that I wrote down, as well as give some price variant knowledge to my client. So I'm going to go through, okay, we have this here and this here. Again, I need to come on site and do a bunch of measurements and figure it out, but I wanted to give you a ballpark so you see and make sure I'm capturing everything. Cabinets. Let me talk about cabinets. I can do off-the-shelf cabinets for probably $5 grand for that kitchen. You're not going to want that level. That's an investor grade for a low-end rental property. Let's not do that. We can do what we call RTA, ready to assemble cabinets. That's going to be like your mid-grade. We custom build them. They're all set sizes, but they're like Legos, and I'll build you a kitchen that looks really nice, and it'll fit very well. That's kind of our mid-grade. We do that on probably 80% of our houses. And then the high grade is going to be the custom-built cabinetry. Here are the price differences: $5 grand, 10 grand, and 30 grand for your kitchen. Where are you looking to spend? And you every single time it's that 10 grand. That 10 grand sounds good, right? So that's what I put your price at on this quote. Then let's talk about countertops. There's 3 levels of granite. There's quartz. Are you thinking of anything, right? So we're having a 20-minute phone call right now. We're going through line item. I'm asking questions. Okay, tell me about your flooring. You said replace flooring. Your kitchen looks about 400 or 500 square feet. Does it touch anywhere? Are we going to have a threshold? Does it run in any room? And so we're starting to develop the estimate through this conversation. Once we finish, numbers have probably changed a little bit from adding and subtracting. So, okay, cool. Well, the ballpark I have says 35 to 40 right now. Why don't we schedule for an on-site estimate? Are you available next Wednesday? I'll come out then. And either myself or my project manager will be out there. Does that work for you? Yes, that's great. Thank you so much. Hang up the phone. So at this point, pause. I've spent 30 minutes building the estimate, spent 20 minutes on the phone. I've spent 1 hour. And you, as the other contractor, Jared Contracting, has not done anything yet. I've spent 1 hour. That might have been wasted. But it's not going to be wasted because they're good with the numbers, they got the rapport, and they know it. I'm going to go out on site. So next Wednesday, me and Jared Flow Contracting both show up, and I've spent an hour on the job so far. I've had a 30-minute conversation with the client, so we've got rapport. I understand what they're looking to get done. I've got it all written out already. Now, it's not high detail. I've written out a bunch of details that I still got to refine.
But you have a clear understanding.
I've got a total understanding when I knock on that front door, where you knock on the front door saying, I hope this is the right house. This guy doing some sort of kitchen or basement, I don't remember. Let's figure this out. Totally different experience for our client of those 2 different contractors. So that's the desk estimate process. It shouldn't take you hours. It shouldn't take, and people say, I don't have the time to do that. I spent 1 hour to not spend 5 hours later possibly. And now Jared Flow Contracting shows up on Wednesday, does the estimate. he still has to write all that stuff down and ask all those questions.
We just did it on the front end.
He's doing it on the back end, so his response to the client is delayed.
Yep.
I go out on Wednesday. I have maybe 30 minutes of corrections on my estimate, right? From on site, we're taking notes. Oh, the square footage is wrong. Oh, well, I brought samples of the countertops that we discussed on our phone call, right? The other contractor doesn't have samples, isn't gonna have to come back later to do the selections, right? So we are on our second date with the client while the other contractor is still taking notes on his first date, trying to get to know him.
Yep.
So all of that, we spent 1 hour that we would have spent later in exchange for maybe not having to go and being one step ahead of our competition and showing up prepared. And now I've got a systematic way every single time clients come in and clients go out.
Well, and that's what we said. We looked this morning. Our open estimates that we've got in the GC company is around 75, 77 that all have gone through that process in some form or fashion. They're all are set up with the customer having that experience, realizing that we have a process, and all of those jobs are set up for success to be able to land them well. But there's no way we would have that amount of jobs that are estimated and ready to be executed to the next level if we were going out to every single one of them off the bat.
Yep.
We've spent a shorter amount of time developing a relationship with the client in about an hour and get clear understanding of it. And it allows us to get to that place where we have that kind of pipeline. And that kind of pipeline is what allows you to be able to grow to the next level, to bring on more project managers. You have to have a pipeline of that type of size to have 4, 5, 6 project managers that are running and have continual jobs for them. Right? And there's no way to do that if you're going out to job after job after job, hoping that you're not going to get a tire kicker and spend 5 hours of wasted time.
A very important line to remember if you're taking one thing away from this. If you're going to try to do desk estimates, just remember, never sacrifice customer experience because you have to follow rigid processes.
Yeah, absolutely.
So one of our biggest things with desk estimates is you're not doing it because you're supposed to do it. You're doing it for customer service and for a really good experience. So a reason that I would skip doing a desk estimate and go straight to on-site. It's an investor that I've worked for before that has done 10 houses and I've done 10 bids and landed them all.
Right.
They know my pricing and are cool with it. And I know that if I take the time to go out there on site, we're landing this job, I'm going to expedite right past the desk.
I'm wasting hours on the front end. I've already got the relationship.
I don't need to impress them. I don't need to make sure that I get rid of tire kickers because I know that they're good.
Right.
If I'm working in a house in a neighborhood and the neighbor's like, hey, you're doing that kitchen. I heard you're doing that kitchen. We have the same age kitchen and we need ours done too.
Yeah.
I'm already going to be out there. They're in a neighborhood that I know can afford this.
Yeah.
You most likely.
And I've already got a pretty good idea of what it's going to cost.
Yep. So it's one of those things of I might expedite the desk assessment, or I might just have a phone call with them and give them some round numbers over the phone and not have it pre-written. So then I show up and I've already got a ballpark. There's a whole. It's about the reasoning that we're doing desk estimates.
I love that though. The process is. Yes, the process in the background is for growth of the company, but at the basis, the process is for customer service.
Yep.
The experience to the customer, and don't sacrifice customer service for the process sake.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
I love that. That's a great takeaway.
So we're going to challenge you to do one thing this week if you haven't done desk estimates or anything like we're talking about. What you need to do is next time someone calls, one time, don't commit to doing this forever. Try it once.
Yeah.
When they call, say, "Hey, great," or email. I'm going to send you an email. I'm just looking for kind of a round list of what you're looking to get done at the property. As much detail as you want to give me, that's more and more helpful. And some pictures of the area as well as this detailed information about the project. Send me that information. I'm going to put together a desk estimate to prep for our on-site meeting. Send me that stuff. I'll put that together. Maybe we can have a call tomorrow, and I'll walk you through kind of a ballpark number. Does that work for you?
Yep.
Every client's like, great. I'm not going to waste my time with you coming out here, and you're going to give me a ballpark, and this is fantastic.
Yeah.
I think we've had 2 or 3 people push back and for those people, it's like, just send someone out there. Well, we don't. This is our process. Well, I don't have time to do that. So you don't have time to send me one email.
I'm getting clarity of what this job is going to look like too.
You don't have time to take 2 pictures or send me one email, but you want me to spend 5 hours on you for free. Is that what we're saying? You don't have 10 minutes to give me to help prep for this, but you want me to work for free for you for 5 hours? This is never going to land, and this client will never be good to work with.
And if it does, it's going to be a rough job.
Yeah. So if you're doing one thing this week, get that person, get one lead, try to get them to give you as much information as possible, sit down and try to prep an estimate.
Yep.
You're not giving them a bid. You're not doing your first run at an estimate. You are prepping for your on-site. You're getting a list together. You're getting some round numbers. You're talking them through it, making sure you capture the majority of what they're looking for, and you're getting that rapport with them. Then you're showing up, and your execution of we'll talk tomorrow of what happens on site and how do you expedite that. But we've already sped up the relationship and the trust factor that you're trying to build with your clients while looking professional and being efficient with your time.
That's right.
So try to do that this week. Let us know how it goes. If you have questions about doing it or any feedback about that, please reach out by email. We'd love to hear from you about how this is working for you, what's working, what doesn't work, any questions of why you think it wouldn't work.
Any directions or clarity.
Absolutely.
All of that. Yeah.
Also, we got coming up in a few months, in a few weeks,
like
next
6,
month.
6, 7 weeks.
We are doing we're doing a 1 day to win where it's a full training for morning session is going to be the 10-step process, how to duplicate yourself. Afternoon session is going to be how to be a CEO, how to grow to the next level, and how to plot growth for your company. It's a full 1 day in Dallas, Texas. So if you are in that area or want to come in for it, we'd love to have you there.
You'll walk away with a step-by-step clarity on here's what I need to do next to start growing my
Go to our website. Right now it's 50% off for the early bird special. It's normally at $199. It's $99. You walk away with a game plan. How do I do growth? How do I start looking at where I'm at today, whether I'm a one-man show or I've got 10 employees? How do we start developing that growth to tomorrow?
1 day to win.
1 day to win. And early birds also can sign up. We might be doing one-on-one sessions the second day while we're out there. So if you want to spend an hour with us,
don't tell everybody.
If you want to spend an hour with us, we can do a one-on-one session with you. Day 2, we're going to spend the week out in Dallas. So we'd love to see you guys there.
Yep.
Thanks so much. We'd love to talk to you soon.
See you on the next one.
All right, bye.